Following World War I in 1919, Japan proposed the inclusion of a racial equality clause at the Paris Peace Conference. This proposal was based on the spirit of Hakko Ichiu, all the world under one roof, an ideal revered by the Japanese since ancient times. However, in April 1919, Japan's proposal was rejected at a meeting of the League of Nations, mainly due to opposition by President Wilson of the United States. Furthermore, the United States began to conduct anti-Japanese activities at a national level, including the enactment of the Immigration Act of 1924, which restricted immigration to the United States of America by Japanese citizens. Nitobe Inazo, an Undersecretary General of the League of Nations, was extremely disappointed once the United States enacted legislation restricting immigration by Japanese citizens. Afterwards, acting at the request of Emperor Showa, Nitobe worked tirelessly to serve as a bridge between the two countries. Although rejected at the Paris Peace Conference, Japan's proposal for racial equality was finally realized after 30 years had passed in 1948. As the Universal Declaration of Human Rights at the Third General Assembly of the United Nations. However, Japanese people were still inflicted with a one-sided sense of atonement towards the war as a result of the War Guilt Information Program infused by GHQ's initiative, a plan designed to brainwash the Japanese and instill a feeling of guilt regarding the war. In addition to concealing America's responsibility for the war, this program aimed to crush the morale of Japanese people so that Japan would never again resist against the United States of America. Furthermore, media restrictions enforced by a press code made it impossible to criticize the Tokyo trial or to report trials taking place in China and Korea. Many Japanese people were instilled with a feeling of guilt towards the war, believing that Japan is an evil nation that invaded other countries. The spiritual cohesiveness of Japanese people was crushed by methodical actions to disparage the tradition and history that were the source of national pride. Eventually, it succeeded to completely dispel patriotism, to instigate distrust toward government leaders amongst citizens, and to divide public opinion by encouraging communist activity under the name of democracy.
And then at that point, MacArthur, who had been standing further in, walked very strongly towards him and said, "You are very, very welcome, sir," and took the emperor both hands, both of his hands in the emperor's one hand. The emperor's hand was shaking like that, trembling, and he bowed very low so that the handshake was over his head. He thought he might have come to sort of save his skin, so to speak, but instead the emperor had offered himself as a Mingawari. Kill me, but not those who acted in my name. And MacArthur was so astonished by that he knew from that moment that here was a very precious man that had to be preserved for many, many reasons, and he did.
We ask that adults in today's society convey true Japanese history to children who will become responsible for the future of our nation. We hope that our children will feel pride in having been born in noble Japan and will hold courage and aspiration in their hearts. History is written by the winners and is further distorted to the benefits of major countries that were involved in that history. The historical awareness created by the Tokyo trial is the basis for history studied at Japanese school and the interpretation of Showa period history by the mass media. Therefore, almost all Japanese people are brainwashed by that historical awareness. Spies and propaganda have distorted the history of Japanese war. Japan has always acted in good faith at foreign diplomacy with other countries. Unfortunately, Japan mistakenly believed that America, Russia, and China are also countries that respect good faith in their relations. As a result, Japan was deceived into entering war and was ultimately labeled as an evil country that embarks on wars of aggression. Although Japan lost the Greater East Asian War, Japan's brave example led to an uprising by people throughout Asia in their quest for independence. Afterwards, this movement spread to countries in Africa also. After 500 years, the era of colonization by the white man was finally brought to an end. Indeed, the nations of the world have reached to the stage to realize the ideal of a generation without colonization because Japan took defiant action in order to create a greater East Asia co-prosperity sphere.